Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this month's special Leadership Circle interview. Today, we have the absolute pleasure to interview one of the early players in boutique fitness industry, the co-founder and CEO for Physique 57, Jennifer Maanavi. Jennifer, welcome, and thank you so much for doing this and being here with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So let's jump straight into the first question. Can you share with us the current status within Physique 57?
Sure, I'm happy to. So Physique 57 is a bar, fitness, and media company. We were founded in 2006, so quite a long time ago, before boutique fitness was even a word, and even wellness was undefined at the time. And we had built a nice footprint in America as well as internationally. And fortunately, we created a media company back in 2008 to create DVDs, which we then sold all over the world. We were on QVC for a long time, and then we were able to transition that to an on-demand platform. So we have had a video on-demand platform, luckily, since 2012. And the footprint has really changed quite a bit, and the business has changed quite a bit as a result of COVID. So we have made some pretty drastic changes. So we went from 13 studios down to 7. We really only took or kept the studios with the best leases and the most opportunity. That's the number one thing that's changed. We also went from one video platform, which is Physique 57 On Demand, to create 2 more. So now we have 3 digital platforms. We also now work with third parties, which we didn't used to do. So we're on 3 third-party platforms, which is exciting. And we have an online boutique, which we didn't have before. That's great. And then very excited about the launch of our bar certification program. We had never been in the business of certifying bar instructors. There's a couple players out there that were doing it, and I'm sure they're doing a fine job, but we really wanted to come out as one of the original bar studios to create our own basic fundamentals bar certification. And that has already launched with participants in 4 different countries. So that's really exciting. So about 30% of our revenue comes from brand new channels that in 2019 we didn't have.
Wow, that's incredible. That's fantastic. I'm very happy to hear that Physique 57 is thriving even through this time. So as we all know, through the pandemic, many boutique fitness struggled. What have you done right to navigate this crisis and in turn future-proof your brand?
Well, on March 16th, we, along with a lot of people who are watching, at least in America and throughout the world during that time period, lost a lot of their revenue. So Physique 57 lost 90% of its revenue in one day. And after building a business for 15 years, that was certainly a huge turmoil and a big day, and one that required a lot of self-reflection and decisive action. So we did a couple of things right away. So in New York City, the governor closed us down on March 16th. On March 17th at 9 a.m., I terminated 85% of our employees. Some companies held on to their employees, and unfortunately, I just didn't see that that was viable. And I didn't think that was even a good idea for the employees, because I knew the unemployment lines in America would be very long. So we fired everyone right away. We gave them PTO. We said, hurry up and get on the unemployment line. We also started closing studios pretty much right away. So the footprint for Physique 57 in New York City was in very commercially dense areas, and to make it even worse, in office buildings. So for example, one of my larger studios was on the 16th floor of a building on Wall Street. So I could tell, as many of us could, that the writing was on the wall, that that type of studio was not going to thrive post-COVID. And we created an as-if scenario. So we figured we'd be closed at least through June, and then we changed that to Labor Day. And then we thought we might not even open until summer 2021. So with that in mind, not only did we do the layoffs, but we actually started closing studios in July of 2020. So I went down from 3 to 1 pretty quickly. They didn't all happen over the summer, but I didn't think it was even worth it to negotiate with some of our landlords. It didn't show any open-mindedness, and they were harsh from the start. And I just didn't think that the company should be saddled with long, unproductive lease negotiations that would cost me money. So I got out right away, and we did so in other countries, even exited some countries as well. So number one, I guess, as I said, was to be very lean. Number two was to really develop a poker mentality when it came to placing bets on different investments. So number one that I was very concerned about was staying relevant and still being a strong brand when we didn't have any studios. And the on-demand business we had, and that more than doubled during the pandemic, but I really needed to keep the name out there. So I really had the whole strategy to get people to pay attention to Physique 57. So in the mentality of placing bets, I created a marketing SWAT team. These weren't necessarily full-time employees, but we brought in customer acquisition, a great, terrific new social media person to oversee our social media efforts. We had a blogger. We brought in a blogger to start writing a lot more content. We created a whole new SEO position, which was really, really terrific for the business. And we improved our copywriting, and we changed some of the leadership on the copywriting team, and also we brought in our full-time, our graphic designer. So it was really about creating a marketing SWAT team, making sure people are paying attention to a brand that could have really have just evaporated overnight, but that was not what we wanted to do. So that really helped a lot. And then also making big investments so that we could help people have a good willingness to pay for our product. So when I mentioned before that we created 2 new digital products, it was a little bit clunky on the back end for us, required a lot of work, but we saw that with our very big client base, we have clients in 122 countries, pretty much all 50 states here in America. People had different interests in different platforms. So we have an Instagram platform that's a paid platform. So some people just really wanted to do this on Instagram. That was their go-to technology interface that they wanted. Some people liked the live virtual classes that we were doing. So we created that. And then we obviously kept the digital, the Z57 on-demand platform. So we created 3 new platforms to increase people's willingness to pay, because we were giving them whatever format they wanted. 10-minute videos, hour-long videos, beginner, advanced, just like whatever they wanted, we were giving them. And we were sending our amazing trainers out all over the place to create content. So we were creating content on a weekly basis through the darkest times of the pandemic. I had mentioned that I had to, unfortunately, do layoffs on March 17th, but we started to hire teachers back in May to create content. And we had teachers literally like all over the country creating content for our video on demand platform. We also really worked on employee engagement. So we had to bring people back and make it worth their time and have them trust our brand as a place to come back and work. So to do that, we created a lot of other platforms for our teachers. So we started to do virtual privates. Some of our teachers are doing 12 privates a day, if you can believe it. And these are not the teachers that are in New York. These are teachers that are all over the country. So what we wanted to do was say, we can't hire you back full time. And in fact, we might only bring you back as a 1099 employee, but we were a team before. We want to be a team now. So we're going to try to create work for you. Even if you're living in your high school bedroom, we want to create work for you. So we worked really hard to create these third-party platforms so that teachers could teach on those platforms. The virtual privates became a big, really surprise product for us. We didn't realize that we would have such demand for virtual privates again around the country, and creating content. So there were people doing content in their parents' backyards, their parents' friends' backyard, creating content. We got very, very savvy with technology. We were sending out cameras and sending out mics to people, again, all over the country. So we really wanted people to know, even if you're only going to work for say 2 hours a week, we still want to work with you. And now that people are moving back to New York, we're able to create employment opportunities for them here. So that was a big part of our strategy, to create engagement with these employees that were all over the country.
Yeah, digital is definitely one of the major transformation that our industry have been through during these times. So currently, what digital services and experiences are you offering to your members? And in your opinion, what is working, what isn't?
So I think one thing that's working, which, as I said, is clunky on the back end, but I do believe that administrative problems for a company are not your client's problems, and you want to make it as seamless as possible. So because we've been in existence for 15 years, we have so many different types of clients. We certainly have our target market, but we have clients from all over the country, all over the world, and people have their preferred methods of accessing fitness content. So we created this Instagram product, which has been hugely successful and very sticky. And we have the live classes as well. And we have the video on demand platform and that has got probably at this point about 400 videos on it. And so what we are now doing in addition to what we've been doing already is we're going to provide access to live classes to our video on demand platform. So one of the first times that we're trying to cross over and say, and ask people to come and watch our broadcasted classes in the studio. We were doing a one-to-many where it was one teacher teaching to many. And now what we're doing is doing more broadcasting. So if you're home, instead of having one teacher teach to the group, that teacher is teaching also on the studio side. So you really have a look into our Spring Street studio, and it's very fun. So instead of having the teacher, it's a little different, but I think that it's actually going to be a better experience. So the teacher, instead of just looking at you, is actually teaching many and teaching the group. So that's very exciting. And then we continue to access different third-party platforms so that we can, not just on our proprietary side, but we can get to know clients from other platforms as well. So those are some of the things that we're doing. I think the biggest change is probably the broadcast side, where we are now using really one studio payroll to access the clients from all over the country, as well as the clients in the studio.
Outside of digital, where else will you invest to deliver better experiences to your customers outside of COVID, once we are out of COVID?
Yeah, so we have done a lot of work on the social media side. And in a way, it's not, these people aren't necessarily coming to the studio, but we are trying to create more of a community around the country. So we're even utilizing some of our teachers from India and other countries on our social media platform to highlight them. And we're trying to create more of a community where it's not just the on-demand clients on one side and the studio clients on the other side. People now feel like it's one bigger community that they're a part of. And now we have the bar certification people, and that is really fun because those are people that are, some of them were clients and some of them are fitness instructors, and now we can create a community where you can be a client or you can become a certified Physique 57 bar instructor, and that even creates more community. So a big push for us is working across these different channels to create more of a community. And we only have one studio in New York City, so again, the broadcasting and the technology that's going into that will be a better experience for everyone as well. So between the technology and the social media community, I think that's going to have a very powerful impact. And also doing more live events and bringing different clients together is fun. We have definitely already been doing that, and those have been really successful. So whether you're tuning in or you're in person, it's really just one big community. And one thing that we did differently that we're rethinking now is we've been doing live classes, actually videotaping live classes since 2018. So we've been doing that for a very long time. But what was interesting is the clients in the studio were just not accustomed to being videotaped. And so it was sort of like a covert operation. We would have a camera, but almost no one could see it. And we would have a little sign that said, "You're being videotaped." And so it was, like the people in the studio didn't even know that we were taping. And if they did, really, they weren't even that happy about it. But now, obviously, they know that businesses like ours have to employ more technology. So we're now doing bigger screens and making it more obvious that we're videotaping so that you can see the people watching the class from home. And so it's not a secret anymore. It's much more fun. So you could be in a class and see who's doing your class at home. And I think people are going to be much more excited about that, to realize that their experience in the studio is being experienced by others, really even around the world half the time.
Now, tell us a little bit about your plans. You currently have operations in 3 other countries outside of the US, and we know you're looking into further expansion. Can you share updates with us on your global plans?
Yes, yeah. So we started to sell franchises in 2019. So the timing was a little off. So going into the pandemic, we had sold just 10. So we sold 10 in our first, say, 6 months of selling franchises. And Physique 57 for all of the years before that had only done corporate-owned studios, and we decided to start franchising, and then we were selling them in 2019. So even the last one we sold was like March 8th or 9th of 2020. So those have been on hold. But now those people are signing leases. We just opened in Indianapolis a couple of months ago. So we've opened Indianapolis, and we have Philadelphia opening soon, and we'll have Long Island and Brooklyn opening soon thereafter. So on the US side, we will open those studios. And once those are open, we'll start selling franchises again. We're still selling them, but we're not really marketing it too much because we really want to focus on getting these studios right. Now on the international side, we continue to have interest. I will say, though, it's choppy because we were very close actually to signing in Singapore, and then there was another lockdown, and then there was another lockdown after that. And you know, understandably, I think that spooked the group there that was eager to franchise. So we might revisit that. But I do think it's going to be hard for us to have definitive international plans right now because of the openings and the closing and the vaccination rates, et cetera. What we might have more success with, which I would definitely be interested in entertaining these conversations, is doing more strategic partnerships with existing fitness facilities. So you don't have to necessarily build out a whole Physique 57, but perhaps Physique 57 is in an existing gym or is part of a program in a boutique studio if they wanted to add bar. And now that we have our 80-hour virtual bar certification program nailed down, we can help train clients or train fitness instructors all over the world. So it really does open us up from not just doing bricks and mortar openings internationally, but doing more partnerships. And I think that might mitigate some risk and create more opportunity for us.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, partnerships is key, and it would definitely create awareness for the brand elsewhere.
Yeah, and we see that on digital platforms already. So we're part of the Key platform in China. So we're seeing that some international brands even want our digital content. So if we can turn that into in-person experiences soon, that would be terrific.
Absolutely, yeah. So besides franchising, what big developments do you hope to share with us in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, so I would say it's bringing to fruition some of the groundwork that we've made in 2020 and 21. So the bar certification program, I really think that's going to take off. We have hardly even marketed it, and we almost had a wait list for this last session. So that's very exciting. So we'd really love to help, whether it's clients or fitness instructors, learn more about bar and feel more comfortable teaching bar. Bar is still very much a niche, and it is the best form of fitness, I think, for women and men probably, but I can definitely speak to women. It really should be part of everyone's, whether it's once a week, a few times a month, I don't know, or I do it every day. I think bar fitness for women is really imperative. And I would love to see more people learning more about bar and teaching bar. I love for fitness instructors to be able to have it as part of their offerings for their own clients. So the bar certification program is going to be very successful, and then more franchising. So we have these handful that are opening, and we are actually talking about opening some more. We're in talks with people to open more in states in the South in America, which has a much different mentality, and the fitness industry is quite strong in other places. And New York is still quite slow, I have to say. And I think lastly, that brings me to just saying, getting people in New York City to start getting back to the studio. As of today, you need to be vaccinated to go to a fitness studio. And I think that's going to be a positive for the industry. And that just started this morning. So that's a big change. So I would love to get Spring Street full again, especially as businesses start sending their employees back to work.
Let's talk a little bit about community, because we know community is at the core for Physique 57. You mentioned, you already talked about this a little bit in one of the earlier questions, but maybe you can focus a little bit more on how do you manage to keep your community of customers, of franchisees, of employees engaged during the pandemic?
Yeah, so not easy, but something we were very, very focused on. So one thing that we did right at the beginning is we got much more deliberate and focused on our copywriting. And we have someone on the team, our VP of Content and Communications, who just does a spectacular job with copywriting. And that might seem, it might seem like why would your copywriting really add so much to your community? But the way we started writing about Physique 57 and empathizing with our clients around the country and even around the world, it was just much different. And I think for all of us, we just knew this wasn't going to be about like cinch your waistline and biceps and triceps. I mean, this was just a worldwide turmoil that we were dealing with. And so we started to write to our clients in a much, much different way. It was much more about mental strength as well as physical strength and giving time for yourself. And I really think that was a shift in what we were doing that has created community. And we've got so much feedback about that, and just being there for people and having bites of bravery, 10-minute videos, just do something, just do something for yourself. So we started to write to women in a much different way. And I saw that almost overnight that really solidified our community and attracted people to our community. So one was in our messaging and the way that we were writing to clients. Number two, again, was bringing in this whole marketing SWAT team to make sure that we were relevant and people were paying attention to us so that we could build community. And then we also brought someone on from the hotel industry to help us create a tour. So we created the Inspiring Strength Tour this summer, and we have done classes with the Moxie Hotel in 2 different locations. We've gone out to the Hamptons and popped up really all over the place in the Hamptons to bring back some of our old clients. And that's been terrific. So bringing in teachers to really, even on farm stands, we were teaching in the Hamptons. So doing things that we didn't normally do, but we just wanted to go to clients and be there for them. And that's been very special. And then another big thing that we've done is we did not bring back ClassPass. And I am still very negative on ClassPass. I never liked it even when I did it. I held out as long as I could. I don't really have anything positive to say about anything that we did with ClassPass over those years. And I said to my team, we are only going to come back without ClassPass. So because there's no community, zero community with ClassPass. And what we found after or during the pandemic, that with all of the work we did with the digital platforms, we were getting so many new clients from around the country. Almost none of the ClassPass clients stuck with us. Very few. And those that did were willing to pay $38. Whereas when they were on ClassPass, they were paying very little. So if they want to be part of the community, they will pay you. And if they're just not that type of a client and they're not in your target market, they're not going to stick with you. So it confirmed that ClassPass clients are really not part of the Physique 57 community unless they want to. And then I'm going to ask them to pay full price, as they should. And as they should pay all of you for your full price. So instead, I created a sales team. We outsource sales at Physique 57 so that, and so I'm still paying for customer acquisition, obviously, but these are people we're going to on our own and inviting them into our community, and they are paying our prices. And we have raised prices once and we're raising them again. So I'm going through 2 price increases. I'm not using ClassPass. I'm creating my own sales force. We're using all sorts of technology, AI technology, et cetera, to reach clients. And I do think that that's building community, because I'm not asking to access somebody else's community. I'm building my own community. And I don't know that I can stay off ClassPass forever, but I'm doing everything I can to not use ClassPass.
As a businesswoman and a mother, how do you find the right work-life balance to give the best of yourself to your business and your family?
I really do believe that everyone gets my full attention, just not all at the same time. And I'll tell you a funny story about even this morning. So I have a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old. And my 9-year-old was sick yesterday, and I do Physique 57 in my living room every morning. I used to go to the studio every day, but now I'm doing it in my living room every morning. And I've been doing that throughout the pandemic. And I was doing one of my exercises and he came out and I could just tell that he was still sick. And he just has a bad cold. And I said, I'm almost done with my video. I'll be with you in 13 minutes and 3 seconds, because I could see on the app that I had 13 minutes and 3 seconds to go. And I tell that story because I obviously am going to be there for my sick child. He just has a cold. It's not anything too serious. And they know enough about me, and especially watching my activities through the pandemic, to know that mom works out every morning. So, and they also have one joke, which is like, sometimes they'll need me and I'll say, I still have to do my left glute, so I can't can't get there yet. So they know that I exercise, and they know that I have my me time in the morning. But the real answer, the more serious answer, is that I have just very, I don't want to say strict, as if I'm not flexible, but I do have really high standards for myself and for staying organized. And I know that I need my time in the morning always. And if I miss that workout, and which is really flanked by other alone time in the morning, that I'm sort of off my game for the rest of the day. And I do try to stay very organized with my priorities every day. I have priorities for the week. I have goal sessions with myself every month just to stay on track. I work with an executive coach to keep everything on track. And I love being a mom. It's the best job ever. And that's obviously a priority, but I also have a business to run. And sort of everyone knows what the priorities are. And I would say with my team, they're mostly parents on my own team, and we're very understanding about people working flexible hours and having to be there for the children. So it's really a matter of it's not even really a balance between the two, which is sort of how do you meld all of those things together. And it's fantastic that obviously I love my children, but I also love what I do professionally, and nothing ever really seems like a hardship because of that.
Look after yourself so that you can look after others, they say.
Yes, it's so true. Oh my gosh. I needed that extra 30 minutes and 3 seconds today. So now I'm in a much better spot.
Jennifer, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for your knowledge, and I hope we can meet in person one day.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. If you're ready, you're gonna press play on your playlist and let's get started. Get so low in that left leg. I just want to make sure you see my face. Whew. Add a little pull. 2. Should we do it, Tori? 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. We're gonna take a quick reset here. Ooh, you can arch. Your chest is open.
We're bringing you a HIIT workout today that is going to torch your body.
We get our high fives. Woo!
So our hamstrings are working overtime. Make sure you give them a little love. I hope to see you again soon. My name's Will. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
Get a little deeper. In for 2, out for 1. Pull, pull, stretch.
Oh, well, why not? Right.
I did it.
And let it all go.
Woo!